Welcome to the comprehensive assessment tool. I will be taking you through the security aspect of this compass. So the comprehensive assessment tool is a tool tailored to planning, executing, and evaluating both TAR assessments and vulnerability management. And what this means is that the compass is a single source of truth for the product's lifestyle. So as the product is analyzed more and more assets are found, more attack paths are found, more threats are found, the compass creates and maintains a database which stores all this information as well as a changelog, and also has the vulnerability management in the same place. So that way, when weaknesses are identified, you can relate them to previously identified threats or create new threats, which can then be used in the TARA. This tool provides an easy compliance to ISO 21434, as all actions are filtered through this standard, and templates are given for the creation of damage scenarios and attack paths and threats. So the user is forced to adhere to these standards. In this process of creating a report, the experience is a lot faster than through Excel, and there are a lot of UI elements to input data, which makes it a lot faster. And this removal of unnecessary actions and delays allows the report creation to be much easier and faster. In addition to this, there is an automatic change log, which keeps track of any addition, modification, or deletion of any artifact. There's version control and traceability, as well as the reusability of artifacts across projects. So what this means is when you start an assessment and a new version comes out, you can create a new assessment, call it version 1.2, and import in all the relevant artifacts. And the tool provides columns to comment on the source of an artifact and the relevance to the current assessment. So now going into the TARA use case, the tool allows the users to identify assets, threats, attack paths, connect them together in a TAR rating, and then through there assign goals, and if the user desires, also requirements. Upon creating an app, you will have all these options to decide the various scope of this assessment, and including the version number, which allows for easy versioning. Upon creating an assessment, you have the opportunity to import any previous artifacts, which allows for reuse across multiple assessments, as well as the ability to create a local database of artifacts. So when you first open the tool, you will see this screen, which is the asset summary view. And here you have a comprehensive definition of all assets. You have cybersecurity properties and damage scenarios, which are color-coded based on the relevancy. And in this view, you can view the assets you've created. However, for data entry, the way to get into the app is to double click on any row, either a blank row, which will start a new asset, or a filled row, which will allow you to modify the asset. And from there, you will pull up this asset form, which will allow you to quickly identify assets. You can select previous function blocks and previous sources to automate the process. The more data you put into the tool, the easier it becomes to use. And upon any cybersecurity property being selected, the damage scenario is automatically filled in with this template, which forces the user to describe a damage scenario in a way that is very useful for ISO 21434. So you will have the impetus to make sure that all damage scenarios are comprehensive. And as these assets become larger and the database grows bigger, you have the ability to continually manage these assets. You can reuse artifacts to save time, and the tool has powerful tools to review data in the asset summary view. So there are filters which can be customized to see various things, which allows you to find specifically assets that only are in the field that you want to analyze at that time. Upon creating assets, rows in the TAR rating tab are automatically created with blank threat scenarios and attack paths. So what this means is no damage scenario will go unaccounted for. As soon as you identify a damage scenario, automatically a TAR rating is created with default fields. And similar to the asset tab, you can then double click on any row to begin editing and adding in actual data. So the asset has the cybersecurity property, threat type, and damage scenario already defined, but the user can then define threat scenarios and attack paths, assign impact ratings to the threats, attack feasibilities to the attack paths, and risk levels are automatically generated for safety, financial, operational, and privacy. From here, you have the opportunity to decide what your risk treatment will be, and if you click reduce, then you will have to put in a goal relating to that treatment, and if you put in accept or avoid, then you put in a claim explaining why the decision was made. And in this form, you can navigate through the various fields. As in with the asset form, the tar form provides many UI options to make this process more automated and faster. You can select previous artifacts, and all numerical data is automatically calculated. And as with the assets, the powerful filters allow you to, upon entering data into the database, see the important rows in this database. So you can say only the entries that have a severe impact rating or a very high risk value, and this allows for very easy analysis. Row gets automatically added to the threat database along with a count of how many times it appears, the aggregated attack feasibility, and the affected assets. And in this row, in this view, you can also create threats which then can be used in the Tara rating itself. So what this means is that there are many ways to use this app, and they all are centered around collecting data and then using it and making sure that it actually is used. Because if you see you have a threat that was used on 0 assets, then it would require you to think about where is this threat and what is the relevance. Same with threats, the attack paths are automatically added to the database, and as long as also there are some columns which allow you to put in some comments regarding these attack paths. In the cybersecurity's goals tab, you can keep track of if a row is a goal or a claim through the color coding, and you can also keep track of the validation criteria and if the goals have been validated or not, as long as they are associated with the risk value of the treatment decision that they were associated with. Also, in a Tara where there are a lot of goals, it is sometimes useful to group these goals into sort of larger organizational clusters. So the tool provides this UI option to group these goals together. And from here, the Tara can be exported to Excel, and then these goals can be imported into any requirement tool that takes in Excel. And in the Excel, you could convert to CSV. So at this point, the application gives you a very usable deliverable that can be moved to another tool. And it's an important part of the Compass is that it's very modular in the sense that you can import Excels, you can export Excels, and it is very lightweight. It keeps the data process, the data entry process fast, and then you can immediately get usable data to move forward for your projects. However, the tool does provide the ability to create requirements inside the tool. You can select a goal and then select a cybersecurity control and then describe the requirement. And because of the ability to create multiple rows, this allows for fan outs. The tool inside has some sort of helpers to help adhere to the ISO 21434, in addition to the templates the tool provides. So there's a checklist which has a list of things that need to be achieved for the assessment to follow the standards. And in addition, there is a PDF embedded in the tool which describes the process of development based on Tara. And also locally, each artifact has a column to describe the completion status. So you can see how far away you are from finishing the assessment. And yes, as I mentioned, the relevance, completion status, and artifact source are important to keep track of because as a local database is built up, some artifacts may no longer be relevant, some may be updated, and the completion status needs to be kept track of. So this tool provides what I like to call rigidity with customization, in that the tool forces you to adhere to standards and it keeps track of everything that is done with the change log. There's artifact protection with the deletion dialog. However, you also have many ways to customize how data is inputted. You can create threats in the tar, you can create threats in the threat tab, same thing with attack paths. You can edit things in the forms, you can edit them in the grids, and you can customize column layouts, you can reorder columns, you can use filters, there are search bars. So there's many ways to customize the user experience, however, with protecting the validity of the assessment. And so here you have a view of the change log, which keeps track of the time, the affected artifact, what happened, and the user who did it. So whenever you open an assessment, you are required to say what user is using the assessment at the time, and this will keep track of all additions to the change log. So now I will go into the vulnerability management use case. For Compass, vulnerability management starts with the relevant cybersecurity events, and you can record these events in the database as long as the relevant information. From there, identify a weakness and either create a new threat or use a threat from the TARA. And this is important that the database unifies vulnerability management and TARA. And this is what the standard ISO 21434 says to do anyways, which is that any threat which could affect the product should be relevant in all parts of the assessment. And as I mentioned, this tool starts with cybersecurity events because instead of storing large amounts of data, Compass only stores relevant material. And this is suitable for TARA. It keeps the tool lightweight and relevant to the TARA. Based on customer feedback, we do not want to reproduce an SBOM tool because these already exist, and having large amounts of bit of material will create inconsistencies in the database. These threats, which are created, can then be used in the TARA. So when an updated asset is identified, you can use any threats that have been created from the vulnerability management. Then you can choose from the identified weaknesses and analyze the attack path, the potential effect, and if this weakness can be exploited. And if it can be exploited, then this is identified as a vulnerability. And any weakness that is not identified, the tool prompts you to provide a rationale for why it's not identified. From the identified vulnerabilities, the tool then allows you to discuss the impact of this vulnerability and then keep track of, and manage a treatment plan. Vulnerability management in the same place as TARA is very important for this tool because these two cannot be separated. The user has to be aware of all attack paths and all threats whenever creating a new TARA rating or a new weakness and vulnerability, because the dropdowns of the tool show all the available attack paths and threats. So over a product's lifecycle, a tailored database can be developed which analyzes new weaknesses and updates the view of the product. As mentioned before, this tool allows importing and exporting of Excel, which allows the tool to remain very modular and give useful professional-looking data. So as I said, you can identify assets, damage scenarios, attack paths, threats, goals, and claims, and also identify events, weaknesses, vulnerability analysis, and conduct management on these vulnerabilities. You have the ability to import and export reports. There are many different ways to input data, and this customization of use is very important because many users can use this tool differently. The rigidity to the ISO 21434 standards also is combined with this unified tooling in that all Compass reports will look the same, so this can be used across the team. But most importantly, this is a single source of truth for a product's lifestyle. Any change to the database is there and recorded either in the changelog or the database itself. So as this TARA is passed around between different members of the team, they will always be able to see what has been done so far in this product. And as well as this reusability means that on a company level, as new TARs are created, old artifacts can be used. Here we can see the assessment overview, and I'm going to create a new assessment, and this will be called Compass Demo. And this version will be 1.1. We'll begin today and we'll end today. I will be the author. And the reviewer will be Ashish. Okay. So it then gives me the opportunity to import assets. However, I don't want to import any at the moment. So now we can see here, this is my assessment. So I'm entering the name of the assessor for the changelog, which will keep track of all changes that I've made. Oh, sorry, I opened the wrong one. Here's the right one. Okay, so we're going to identify an asset. So we're going to do JTAG. And you can enter a description if you'd like. For the moment, I'm not going to enter one. And you can identify damage scenarios for the purpose of the demo and confidentiality. I will leave these in the template form, but here the user can describe what we at Vector think should be included in a damage scenario. You can create a comment. This is a test. And for non-identified damage scenarios, so like maybe availability, I can say, I could provide an explanation, like the manufacturer knows that this is protected, or we've tested this before in past TARA. So these are a place where you can enter those. So now I'll save this. Okay, and now if we go to the TAR view, these two rows have been automatically added, and they are initiated at the highest of severity. So you will never accidentally leave something at a low attack feasibility or a negligible impact rating. So we'll start editing these. So the threat scenarios, as I said, are identified by these templates, but we can say, or actually, I think I might leave this as the blank one, so this information disclosure, but this here, I will add this. So we say like the attacker gets access to the JTAG, and then they disclose information regarding it. And then I'm going to say that this would take an expert, but maybe a little bit of opportunity, and you need specialized material. And as you can see there, the risk levels automatically identify. And I'm going to say this would not really matter much for safety. It would matter a lot for financial and operational, and also for privacy. So you can see here that since safety is only moderate, the risk level is here. So maybe here I will say I will accept this, and then these I will reduce. So I will say that this would not affect safety. And here I'll say the JTAG will be protected. And these would also be there. So now I can save this. And this prompts me to enter the rationale. So I say inputting first attack path threat still needs to be inputted. Okay. And now if we go to threats, we can see the threats that I identified, the attack path right here. See here the affected assets. And then if I go to the changelog, it says right here, I created this asset. I created this tar rating with the stack path, but the threat needs to still be identified. And then also here are the goals. You can see here that this is a claim, risk value slightly lower. And if I wanted to only see the, actually this might be more sense to do this, to only see things that are there, I will only see the goals. And now if I click here, I will only see the claims, clear filter, see both of them. Okay, so that is a short demo. I'm just gonna go back to the PowerPoint now. So that was a short demo of Compass. If you would like to have more information, if you'd like to see more data input, or if you'd like to see some sample reports, please contact us at any of these links. And we hope that you will enjoy this project.